Commission General Regulation 379, Junior Hunt Eligibility Changes, LCB file number R15009. Maureen.
For the record, Maureen Hullinger, Nevada Department of Wildlife License Office. I'm here to workshop the CGR 379, the junior eligibility changes. The support material identified those changes. I'll just run through those quickly here. Section 1, subsection 3 updates the language regarding the hunter's age from 17 to 18. Section 2 updates the language regarding the number of years the hunter is eligible to apply from 4 years to 5 years. Section 3 is regarding the transfer of the bonus points by the junior hunters, and to be consistent with Section 2, it's down in subsection 4, Section 3, subsection 4, we're updating it from 4 years to 5 years. And then Section 4 is the transition language, the reviser's note that is necessary for implementation. I do have a change identified there. I provided some additional support material this morning that it was identified after the notice went out. It's in the first sentence. The language update requested is if a person who's ineligible to participate in the junior hunt because of his age or years of application, so that we got both of the eligibility requirements covered. Right now it only says age. We need to add or years of application becomes eligible to participate. So that was the only other identified language change to the regulation. Implementation, programming will need to take place. We're going to implement for 2011, and the fiscal note is $1,000 for the programming to make the change. Washoe is the county advisory boards. What I did receive, everybody supported except for Washoe County. They did not support it. They did not want to see the age change from 17 to 18 and suggested to maybe the commission could look at the junior hunt and redefine it as a novice hunt due to the number of hunters that this might bring in and the volume of tags available. So.
Any questions? Commissioner Burrow?
Mr. Chairman, this is my suggestion. As you all know from before, I was on the tag application committee for the commission back beyond 10 years ago when this issue came up, and it was at my suggestion at that time, and it was implemented, that we go to a junior hunt. The reason is this, and Don Sefton could tell you for sure, that what we were finding in the statistics that were coming up is that the average age of a hunter was going up 1 year every year of the application process. And what that was telling us was that we're losing the young people, and the old guys like me are still hunting. So and part of the reason for that is the young people ages 12 and above up to about 16 as we ended up with, we're not getting an opportunity to get a tag. So we set forth a separate tag allocation form. And I would hasten to tell you that this regulation does not change anything with respect to the number of tags that would go to the youth hunt. What it does do is allow for a junior or a senior in high school to be able to hunt that last year while he's in high school under a junior license. That's all it does. And it gives, yes, it'll put more people into the pool for the purpose of drawing, whatever restricted number of tags that we have. But in my mind, our youth hunters are the ones that are going to save this sport. And if we don't have some sort of accommodation for them, I'm really concerned that, long after I'm gone, there will be a serious problem with the non-hunters having a leg up on those people that are hunting sportsmen. That was the only reason for the regulation. I was kind of surprised at Washoe County's response to it. All the rest of the, I read all the rest of the ones that came in, and they were in favor of it. So that's the genesis of it. Again, the important things, it simply allows a senior in high school to apply one more time, does not give them any more tags.
Any other commissioners' comments before I turn it on? Thanks. You got a comment?
I'm just briefly, just you know, for the record, I think that I probably have a few more junior hunters in my potential junior hunters in my family that may be able to take advantage of this, and so to make sure I don't get in trouble, I was talking to just, you know, like to state for the record that will not affect my vote on this one way or the other. I'm the father of 4 children that do not yet apply for this.
That's a good disclosure.
Yeah.
Disclose these things.
Thanks, Maureen. I'm going to turn it over to the
Disclose
public
everything.
now, okay? Do we get anybody that, for the public wants to talk on this item? Vice Chairman?
There was nobody that's had number 11.
Tom, go ahead.
For the record, Tom Casanelli with Humboldt County. We also oppose this, this recommendation. This went in front of the counties 3 years ago. It wasn't tag allocation. What was the other committee that was put together? And we dropped, actually it was kind of unfair. 18-year-olds were, some 18-year-olds were getting in and some weren't. So we cut it back to 4 years. We also have concerns about the youth. And the more people we put in this, we feel that 4 years of youth hunt will get them rolling. If we start putting more people in, it's going to start dropping some of those. It's going to drop the same amount of people out on the bottom end. We fill our quotas now because most junior hunters want to hunt close to their areas. So as we add more hunters into this youth hunt, it's going to take youth out of this youth hunt on the lower end. So that was our concerns. If we weren't filling our quotas, I'd say great, let's let them hunt until they're 40. That's fine, but we're filling our quotas right now, and we wanted to hit the younger youth and get them started. And like I said, this has been in front of the counties. It's been looked at before, and we come up with this. It wasn't too long ago. It was maybe 4 years ago. I forget which committee had it. It wasn't tag allocation because that's been back. Giovanni sat on that committee.
Application hunt.
Application hunt committee, yeah, that's the one that reviewed it. And that's when it got changed back to this 17th, as long as they do not turn 18 by the close of season, which they are applying. Before that previous time, some of the 18-year-olds were getting in, and it was allowing certain people, just because of their birth dates, the way they felt, to get 5 years of application. And Humboldt County felt that the youth hunt is doing a pretty good job as the way we've got it structured right now. We're not opposed to the youth hunt. We're just opposed to stretching it out and putting more people on top of those youth that are drawing tags right now.
Tom, then this undoubtedly will put more applications in there. And then would you be opposed to increasing the youth hunt? Because I think, as I remember, Clark County made a recommendation to increase the youth tags to 3,000 or something.
I was going to ask.
And so does this mean that you'd be opposed to increasing the youth tag numbers? Because undoubtedly it'll be putting more people in the pot.
I think until you increase the numbers, I think that needs to go to the counties. I think you're getting the cart ahead of the course.
Okay.
A horse, excuse me.
I'm just saying that.
Because yes, I think if you're going to do this, you'd almost have to increase the numbers, and that should go through the counties and the sportsmen. Our deer herd numbers are down dramatically as we, you know, the 3,000 number, that's not going to barely change it. But the problem is the youth want to hunt close to where the youth live. And to make it to where everybody can draw a tag in their unit, you almost have to give them 60% of the tags or so to let them hunt right close to their areas they live, like around Reno here. Most youth hunters here, I guarantee you, put in right for here for 22 and in these close areas.
Commissioner Capurro?
Yes, sir, thanks. Tom, I'm a little confused, and I never got it, but I do have the Humboldt County Advisory Board notice of meeting, which your meeting was on May 10th. But we never had any minutes, and that's why I suggested to you
Yes.
that there was no other than Washoe County had complained about this.
Yes, I
That's
know
the
that.
reason for my comment, so I'd like you to clear that up, as your minutes haven't hit us yet.
And I would like to clear that up. I got a call this morning. We do not have a secretary. We don't have the budget for a secretary up there, so we use one of our, and Steve Hemp called me and he said, our minutes did not get sent. I sent the quotas recommendations, but the minutes did not get sent, so he asked me to represent Humboldt County, and I'm sorry they didn't get to you, and it was not sent prior to the meeting. He was sending them today, trying to resend them, so I don't know if they've come in. So,
Well, at least you represent the Humboldt cab, that's the important part.
and I appreciate
Okay,
it.
any other
Thank you.
questions? If not, any other public comment here? Don Sefton, step up.
For the record, Paul Dixon, Clark County. You mentioned that we had mentioned 3,000 tags, and I wanted to come back, maybe Commissioner Capurro. When we originally set up the junior hunt,
3,000.
we set 3,000 tags in there, and we have never obtained that. So coming back to your comment is, I think we can accommodate, and why we were in favor of this, if you want to extend it to a larger group of people in age bracket, getting your numbers up as the tag numbers went up this year, and making the youth hunt have a greater degree of tags available for that. I don't think you'd see the impact of other people not having the capability. One of the questions I was going to ask our support services for the tags is, how many people have been applying for the youth hunt versus, we know we're issuing all the tags that we offer, but how many people are applying and that are not getting a tag? And what?
Yeah, Mr. Dixon, that'd be better to bring up when he said our quotas. That's
Okay.
That was going to be my point, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, let's
Two
talk
different
about that.
issues, really. One is the change in the regulation.
But the
to
change in
allow
the
for it.
regulation from Tom and others is because we're having a smaller pool of available tags to a larger number. I mean, we got a number of tags, and we have a group of people out there that just grew to apply for that, so your percentage chance just shrunk. My only point for bringing up the number of tags outside of this, Chairman and Commissioner, is that it does relate to the question that was brought up by Tom and others.
That's a question for the quotas that we're
Yeah.
talking about, not with respect to this regulation. We have to pass this regulation before we can even address the quotas. Otherwise, we will be allowing for a larger number of tags to the same number of applicants. You get that?
I understand that, but the concern, the only reason I brought it up is the concern raised
Yeah.
about the piece. There's the only reason I brought that up. It's not, we have to make a decision on
Sure.
it. It is quota related.
I understand.
Okay, thank you. Don?
Don Sefton, Systems Consultants. We can get those numbers. We have them in the annual report that we give you guys every year, and so we can look back and see what they were. It's in the hundreds, as I recall, rather than the thousands that go without a tag, but rather than trust my memory, let's look at the numbers. I wanted to clarify one thing and contradict Tom Casanelli a little bit. The tag application hunt committee, TAC as it was called, that operated a couple of years ago, did bring a option before the county game boards. It was not Mr. Capurro's option. It was that 12 through 16-year-olds could apply. They weren't going to change the ages. The problem was that if you were born before, say, the season started, then you had a shot at getting 5 tags from the time you're 12 through 16, and if you were born after that, the earliest season began, you had a shot at 4 tags. And so it was unbalanced, and so the rule was put forward that you could limit it to 4 tags max, so you had 4 bites at the apple, and that's what the change was. There was nothing brought before the county game boards then about 18, so just to clarify that.
Thank you.
I have a question for Don.
Commissioner Cavan? Don? You have a question?
Don, can't leave.
Ever?
I know you probably don't have it off the top of your
I'd been on
head.
too long. So.
We have a sense of how many of these 17-year-olds now that are going to be in this 18 bracket, or would you think we'd be adding 500 new applications? Do we have a sense of that? I'm sure you don't have the.
I would like to give you an exact number, and maybe at lunchtime we could do that, but in rough terms, there's usually around 2,500 applicants. And if you figured that there's 4 years in there, then 650, and if they're evenly distributed, then maybe 650 a year. So if you added a year or 2 years of age, you could be adding 600 or 650 for each year that you added. So for 2 years, going from 16 to 18, you could be adding 1,300. With 1 year, you could be adding 650. That doesn't necessarily happen because the older kids tend to drop out. They get cars and girlfriends and other interests and quit hunting. Yes,
I'm
sir.
going to go 1 year from 17 to 18.
Okay, I'm sorry, 1 year. Okay, 650 then would be a rough estimate.
They can't be 18.
But I think if you looked at the distribution right now, and we should probably do that, you'd find that the number is higher when the kids are younger, and it's lower at the outer end. So I don't think you can evenly say that because there's 2,500 that there's 650 going to apply.
Chairman, if he could get us the number of the 17-year-olds, because that's really the only ones we're talking about, that the potential is in the 17-year-olds that might apply. Some of those are going to drop off.
Tomorrow, you mean?
Well, whenever.
Well, I think,
That's what we're going to
I'm
vote on.
not sure what your timing
tomorrow.
is. If you're going to do it right now, I mean, Monty and I would probably need 5 or 10
Why don't we
minutes
have it
to.
tomorrow? We need by
Tomorrow's
tomorrow.
fine.
Oh, by tomorrow. Oh, yeah, no, we can do it by tomorrow.
Now, let's do it
easily.
tomorrow.
Okay.
This is just information today, and if it's something we want before we vote on it, let's have it by tomorrow. Commissioner Kevin,
The other
moving on.
The other issue that may be applicable here is that if you left in the 4-year or the 4 successful draws, that would still give them 4 tags. I mean, right now maybe we have some kids that are only getting 2 or something. And if they're 18 and if they're in this 17-18 bracket and they've already drawn 4 tags, then they wouldn't be eligible. So there might be a little compromise in here if we're inclined to that. See what I'm saying?
Okay.
There's
Any
a limit
other,
of 4 right now.
Thank you, Don.
Maybe
Other public
Maureen.
comment period?
Change it to 5. If you left that at 4.
Glenn Copeland, Washoe County Advisory Board. Our board is pretty much following what some of these other people say. The reason why we voted this unanimously denying it was simply because we're going to put in that many more youths, 18-year-old, into the youth draw. Right now, I mean, we've got some young kids that are taking, you say, are getting a tag everywhere. Some of them aren't getting a tag at all in a couple of years. And I think if we put that many more people into that draw, some of these young kids, like Don said, who are, their biggest group is the young kids. Some of these kids are not going to get tags. And we're pro-youth from our cab, and that's why we denied. Another suggestion is that, this youth hunt has been a controversial thing for a few years now. So we made a suggestion that I think that we need to look at this youth hunt and maybe need to revise some of the things to it, to maybe even include like a novice type hunt where you're not necessarily a youth to apply for the youth tag, but maybe you've never hunted before and you want to apply for a tag. Just a suggestion of some of the things we talked about.
Commissioner Burrow?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Perhaps it'd be helpful if Mr. Sefton would also find out what the relationship between the number of applications is to the number of tags. In other words, is it every third applicant gets a tag under the junior hunt? And then what the relationship in the general hunt is of the number of applicants to the number of let's use deer tags, to the number of applicants that there are. I think you're probably going to find out that it's a vast difference between what's in the general hunt and what the ratio is in the youth hunt. So even though we'll increase the numbers, we're not going to cut down substantially the potential for a youth to get a tag.
Well, I think that would be some good numbers to have to bring to the cab so that they're aware of what maybe what might the impact be of adding that other age to the youth hunt.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Maureen Hullinger, Nevada Department of Wildlife. I might be able to speak to that a little bit. Someone in the audience had the big game status book from last year. On the youth hunt there, they had 2,739 first choice applicants. In the first draw, there was 2,453 tags issued. And then we did have remaining tags, but the overall tags sold for the junior hunt was 2,693, and that comes to about 2-to-1 odds. So I hope that provides you a little more statistical information.
Could you repeat those one more time?
Sure.
What page?
It's on page A5. It's back in the appendix. Okay, it was 2,739 first choice applicants. First draw tag sales, 2,453. Total tags sold, 2,693. And it's at 2-to-1 odds, so that's,
Almost 1.
I can't remember who
It's
requested.
almost 1-to-1.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense because basically
1-to-1.
90% of the kids are drawing at 2,500 out of 2,800
Yeah.
draw. So I would think if you said 4 out of 5 is the odds for a youth, and maybe a 1 out of 4 is the odds for an adult applying.
That's what I thought.
We can get you exact numbers, but 2-to-1, I'm not, there must be rounding or something in that.
See that it's the average across
Hey,
the
Don,
whole.
if you
rounding.
wanna, if you wanna talk about this, let's come on up here, and we don't wanna.
I think
Let
I could
Don
clarify
talk.
Don's thing.
I'm gonna go ahead, Don.
I think that we had something over 2,700 people apply last year from Maureen's number, and we had something just under 2,500, and that's pretty close to 90% of the kids, 85% of the kids drew. So their odds are 8 out of 10 or 4 out of 5, maybe 9 out of 10. In the big game, or excuse me, in the 1331 hunt, I think we had about 40,000 hunters applying for like 12,000 tags. It's somewhere between 1 and 3 and 1 and 4. So the odds are dramatically higher for youth at this point in time.
Okay. Thanks.
And I don't know where the 2-to-1 comes from, but I can't get to that number.
I'm just the straight math. Even first draw tag sales is 89.5%.
Okay.
89.5%. I mean, exactly
Okay.
what you're saying, but I just did the simple math. And then the total tag sales is even higher than that. It's like 98%.
Well,
So it's-
we get understand that we some of those kids who did not draw the first time out also don't draw the second time. What you're seeing there with that 2,700 or 2,600 tags is we get a lot of kids who apply in a group with their folks or older sibling, unsuccessful at 1331, get the bonus point, then they come back in the second draw and pick up a tag out, on Monitor Valley or someplace like that where there's more youth tags available. And so they're not necessarily all of those kids are being satisfied. Some of them are kids that are going the other route just because there's been tags left over. I'm
Still
sorry.
getting a tag.
Oh, you're still putting tags out?
You have some tags left over, is what you're saying.
Yes. Yes.
So what I'm saying is that the number you're adding, yes, it probably will result in some not getting a tag. But it certainly is much better to give them one more year in this category than to shove them in the one where there's 40,000 applicants with 12,000 tags.
Yeah. Thanks, Don. Public comment, resume public comment.
Lunch. For the record, Bill Miller, White Pine County. Our county also was opposed to this. I did get the minutes or our response back from our board. Maureen acknowledged that when we were talking about the apprentice tag. She had a response. I don't know why that didn't make this list. Mr. Cavan, or Commissioner Cavan, hit the nail on the head this morning when he said that he got a phone call from a father and his daughter that were just overly excited after going through hunters' safety courses. They come out of hunter safety courses and they're all fired up and they're ready to go out in the field hunting. And I think this is the purpose, our board's purpose behind the recommendation was to keep this down at the lower, the younger levels, so that we could get these kids encouraged to hunting. I also sat in the TAC committees, and the TAC committee came up with, if a youth had acquired 1 or 2 bonus points and then moved on, that they would be able to retain those bonus points as an adult. And I think that was a very important point in addressing some of these issues and not allowing to extend this up to 17 and 18 years old. They're becoming adults. They need to act like an adults, and they carried forward these bonus points just like the rest of us. We want the youth, they're 11, 12, 13 years old, that just took hunter safety to be, to come out and want to participate in this type of an activity.
Did you say this was White Pine?
This is White Pine.
Well, I'm looking at your minutes here. It says number 9, Commission General Regulation, and the vote was accept to support.
Is it right on the bottom?
Well, all I can go by is what the minutes show.
Sorry.
Thank you. Any other public comment before I close? I'll close the public comment. This is just an information item anyway, and what's the cost of lunches? Okay, we need you here yet. What I'd like to do is defer items D and go to we have a representative from the University of Nevada, and we also have Commissioner John Elliston and Assemblyman John Carpenter that want to talk on item 13, the Ruby Pipeline. And we have somebody from the University of Nevada College of Agriculture here also, and I'd like to go to them because they didn't bring their lunches, and they might not make it through lunch, and then we're going to eat through lunch, and then we'll go back to item D here. Is that okay? Anybody have any problem with that?
We're going to pick up our lunches now, or what?
They're not here yet.
Oh, I thought they were 12:30.
Yeah, they are. Lunch is
12:30.
What do you want to do? Shall we go to those items first, or you want to pick up your lunches?
If Suzanne, if they're here, let's grab it, and then
Bring it back here and
we
eat
can
while
hear
we
what
listen.
we can listen to.
Let's take 5 minutes and everybody grab their lunches, and then we'll